Introduction to Web Technology. So we're going to look at the internet, client-server architecture, web application, web browser, and versus web server, web hosting, dynamic server, page. So the internet is the worldwide telecommunication system that provides the connectivity for millions of other and small networks. It means to use it to connect millions of network. So therefore the internet is often referred to as the network of networks. It means it is interconnection of the networks. So it allows computer user to communicate with each other across the distance and computer platform. It means the internet is a global network. It means it connects the network of networks all over the world. So for the client versus the server architecture, here you have two things: the client and the server. So the client is we can say that it share the data processing between a server and client, which are usually the PC. Means here you have the client requests the information from the server, so then the server provides the request of data to the client, but those actions done over the internet. So means the client requests the data to the server and the server provides the information to the client. So then for the web application is an application program that is stored on the remote server and delivered over the internet through the browser interface. It means a web application can be designed for a wide variety of users and can be used by anyone. So it means anyone can access a web application, from an organization to an individual, of numerous reasons. So the common use of web application can include the web mails, online calculators, or e-commerce shops. So some web apps can be accessed by a specific browser. However, most are available no matter the browser. Means you can use any browser to access your web application. So for the web application, there's some benefits. So allow the multiple user to access the same version of an application. Means more than one people can access one web application at the same time. For example, you can be here, another person can be in another place, so that you can access like Facebook at the same time. So that is the benefit of web application. Then for the web apps, application also don't need to be installed. It means it is not an application that you install in your PC or your environment. Means so the web apps don't need to be installed. So the web apps can be also accessed through various platforms such as desktop, laptops, or mobile. Means you can access the web application to any device, but that device must be able to connect it to the internet, because we have seen that for the web application, allow multiple users or a user to access the same version of an application. Means that application must be hosted over the internet. So then also can be accessed through the multiple browser. Means one can use Google Chrome as the web browser, another one can use Firefox, another one can use Microsoft Edge. So those are different web browser that you can use to access that web application. If you have remembered what we have said that the web application is an application program that is stored on the remote server and delivered over the internet through a browser interface. So we have seen again that the web application can be only accessed by a specific browser. However, most are available no matter the browser. Means you can use any web browser to access the web application. And therefore we have seen that the web browser can help us to access the web application. But what is the web browser and what is the web server? So the web browser is a software which is used to browse and display the page available over the internet. So if you can see the example here, you have this is Google Chrome, this is Firefox, and this is Microsoft Internet Explorer. So means the web browser, it's allowed the user to access some information or data over the internet. So then for the web server here is a software which provides this document when requested by the web browser. Here in simple word, we can say that the web server, once the user goes in the URL for any browser here and type, for example, facebook.com, so the web server is the one who is in charge to deliver or to provide those documents to the client. So it means the web server is a software which provides these documents when requested by the web browser. So web browser again versus the web server. The client means you're going to look how this scenario goes from the initial up to the end. Here the client sends the request from web document or service, so then the message goes from the web browser to the web server is known as an HTTP request. Means that client once is going to send the request to the web for the web document, it goes in a message called HTTP request. So when the web server receives the request, it searches its store to find an appropriate page. Means in the web server they are going to load and check what the client have been asked. So if the web server is able to locate the page, it parses up to the HTML content within using some transport layer protocols address this password to the browser using the HTTP as the hypertext transfer protocol. Means the web server will use this protocol as we know it is HTTP, hypertext transfer, for providing those requests. And those, once the web server finds those pages that is related to what the client have asked, then it will transmit them back across the network. So that is how the scenario goes from step by step. We have first seen that the client send the request for the web document, and that message that the client sent, we take it as the HTTP request. Then after the web server received the HTTP request, it will go to check in the server the information which is related to what the client have asked, and after the web server find the response, is going to transmit them back to the client using the HTTP protocol, hypertext transfer protocol. So that was for the web browser and the web server. Then for web hosting, this web hosting is a service to store and serve read-made files and programs so they are accessible on the web. So if you have remember, we have seen that web application is an application that is there for searching to the web browser, then you get the information. Those web application, to be accessible over the internet, you should first host it. Means web hosting is the service that helps us to store the programs and files so that they can be accessible on the web, means over the internet. Means before you access the data over the internet, those data must be hosted before. So sometimes you search for the data over the internet and you find that means those data was been hosted before, but there is some people that have hosted it before then. That is why once you search it and you find it, you must know that those data had been hosted before. Means web hosting is a service of store and made defined programs so they are being accessible on the web. So for the dynamic server page, so the dynamic server page, this is the dynamic generation of page which is made with a simple and more integrated web page design and construction by allowing the web page to contain active paths that are treated by the web server and transformed into a desired content on the fly as the page is retrieved and returned to a client browser. Means this is how those dynamic server pages are being made. It means this dynamic server page is made by simple and more integrated with web page design, which is going to be constructed by allowing the web page to contain the active part, which is going to be treated by the web server, so that they can be transformed into a desired content. So this is about the dynamic server page. So this was the introduction to the web technology. We have seen that I've seen about the internet, and we see the web, the difference between web browser and the web server. We have seen again the web application, and we have seen the dynamic server page, and we have seen the client and server architecture, how the user asks for the data over the internet, the process it takes. So for the next tutorial, we are going to see about the servlet. What is a servlet? How it's going to work? So make sure you follow our next tutorial. Thank you.